gonna look and see if there are any new idiots to debunk.
You probably heard that everyone is paid what they're worth. Don't buy it.
Damn it, Reich, would you get out of the way? You're blocking all the other morons.
According to this mythology, workers at the bottom are unskilled and don't deserve more than what they currently earn.
Watch out for this. People like Reich love switching to moralistic language. They don't deserve it. Reich the liar knows perfectly well that no one is claiming that this is about what they deserve, about how good a person they are or whatever. It's about how much wealth they're capable of generating for an employer. If people got paid based on what they deserved, Reich would be in the poorhouse.
Minimum wage workers at McDonald's are paid what they are worth in the so-called free market. If they were worth more, they would earn more.
Again, he's not properly describing the effect. If they were worth more, then a competitor would have the incentive to offer them more money to hire them away. We've seen this in the bidding war various companies do with each other. His description of McDonald's workers as minimum wage workers is a lie, and he knows it. Starting pay for a cashier is $14 an hour, almost twice the federal minimum. The operative question is, why? Why would they ever pay them any more than required? Why pay them as much as $14 an hour? Because if they offered less than that, Burger King or Wendy's would hire them and get better workers. Walmart's starting pay is $14 an hour for the same reason. They're basically in a bidding war with Target. In fact, Target just increased theirs to $15, so before too long, expect Walmart to follow suit. This is the effect that Reich always ignores.
By the same logic, the CEO of McDonald's is worth his multi-million-dollar compensation package.
And how would you prove that he isn't? If a CEO came along willing to do the same job for a lot less, why wouldn't they appoint him instead and save the money? Hint, companies have tried that, and it's always proven disastrous for them. In 2022, McDonald's CEO Christopher Kempczinski made $17.8 million in total compensation. Reich and other socialists would have you believe that this is massive amounts of money stolen from the workers, but how much actually is that per worker? Remember that starting pay is $14 an hour. If you work part-time, which at McDonald's is 30 hours a week for 50 weeks a year, that gets you $21,000 a year. But in 2022, McDonald's had 1.7 million employees, being the second highest employer behind Walmart. Divide the CEO's take from that, and it's about $10.47 per employee for the whole year. So for each of those employees, the deal the CEO made was, you get paid $21,000 or more, and I just get $10. Get it? The reason why he made millions of dollars is because he made that deal millions of times. We can do that with Walmart too, with their 2.3 million employees. Douglas McMillan's compensation last year was $24.6 million. Per employee, that ends up being about $10.70. So Walmart and McDonald's both pay each employee more in an hour than the CEO gets in a year. Again, McMillan only made that amount of money because he made that deal millions of times. We can do this with any company you want. How about Amazon? Last year, CEO Andrew Jassy made $1.3 million in total compensation, and they have over 1.5 million employees. In this case, Jassy made, for the entire year, about 87 cents per employee. Reich does not want you knowing any of that, because then he can appeal to your base greed and envy to push his agenda.
But there's no such thing as unskilled workers, only underpaid workers.
Oh, really? So what skills does a complete newcomer with no training at all have in the job market? And why are they absolutely spoiling for skilled labor like machinists?
Their productivity, that is the value of what they produce, has been growing for decades. The problem is that their wages haven't kept pace with their productivity.
Yeah, covered over and over again. Do I need to show yet again how this is the fault of the very inflationary monetary policy Reich himself advocates?
The paid what you're worth mythology also lures the unsuspecting into thinking nothing can be done to change what people are paid.
What? No, it doesn't. It means you can change what you're paid by getting work experience or training. This is just blatant projection by Reich. He's the one making class distinctions that just don't match reality. Yes, some people are richer than others, but it's not a distinct category, but a statistical distribution. Also, people are mobile, moving around from one level to the other. Poor people become rich, rich people become poor. Reich is the one trying to make you believe that you're stuck in this category called the poor, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it except give more power to his blessed government. Absolutely disgusting!
Meanwhile, according to this same view, CEOs who rake in tens of millions and Wall Street traders who rake in hundreds of millions are simply being paid what they are worth, because that's what the market has dictated. Rubbish! The paid what you're worth fairy tale ignores power and disregards policies that have made inequality skyrocket.
You mean like yours?
Like the demise of antitrust enforcement, which has given big corporations the power to set prices, make record profits, and reward their CEOs unprecedented compensation.
Yeah, funny how you won't mention the increase in pay these companies give their workers, as I just showed. He also consistently fails to mention how many workers are paid above the minimum wage. I couldn't find any reports from the BLS for 2022, but for 2021, minimum wage workers constituted just 1.4% of hourly paid workers. In fact, despite the skyrocketing that Reich hallucinates, the BLS said, the percentage of hourly paid workers earning the prevailing federal minimum wage or less at 1.4% in 2021 was little different than in 2020. This remains well below the 13.4% recorded in 1979 when data were first collected on a regular basis. And again, the BLS statistics showed what it always shows. Most of them are teens and other new entrants to the workforce who haven't had much of a chance to develop skills and experience.
This fairy tale also ignores the attacks on labor unions that have reduced union membership from over a third of all private sector workers in the 1950s to just 6% today.
And yet, workers are doing so much better than they were back then. Funny that.
All of this resulting in a massive shift in power and wealth from workers to owners.
Yeah, still waiting on you to show any statistics backing that up. All the ones I find show the opposite.
Those at the top justify their staggering wealth and their worth 3 ways. The first is trickle-down economics.
Once again, there is no such thing as trickle-down economics. The only people who ever mention it are people like Reich. He quotes no one. No economist, no CEO, no pundit, no politician who justifies CEO salaries or anything else with trickle-down economics. It's completely and totally made up. And they have to make it up because they have no other way of arguing against economic freedom. The only reason the term was ever coined was to avoid discussing the merits of a free market. If I'm wrong, then I challenge any of you watching to name a single economist from any school of economics who has ever advocated trickle-down economics. And I mean quote and reference, not this one guy said that this other guy did or anything like that. Show me the trickle-down theory that you're opposing. If you can't, then you need to shut your lying mouth!
But as we know, wealth at the top has soared for decades and nothing has trickled down.
Yeah, again, statistics show otherwise.
The second is the free market. They talk about market forces beyond their control. But remember, markets are created by rules.
No, they aren't. Rules interfere in markets. Markets are just people interacting voluntarily. Rules either mandate or restrict interactions, which means rules are involuntary.
The third is the idea that they're superior human beings.
Yeah, again, no one says that. If they did, you'd quote them. This whole video is just one pathetic straw man after another. The reason everyone does give for the pay of workers, CEOs, or anyone else in the private market is that it's the equilibrium resulting from supply and demand. If they tried raising the pay, they'd get more people wanting the jobs, but they wouldn't be able to provide as many. Too low, and there won't be enough applicants to cover the jobs they want to provide. The equilibrium is the wage where the number of workers wanting the job more or less matches the number of positions the company can offer. In fact, if anything, they're incentivized to set the wage offered at a bit above equilibrium so they'll have more applicants to choose from. Even that isn't the whole story. All of this ignores the input of the consumer, who demands the highest quality for the lowest price. Paying the employee more means raising the price of the final good. But what if consumers won't buy at that price? Jobs can't exist at that wage if the consumers won't support it. McDonald's wouldn't be able to pay their workers $14 an hour if consumers weren't willing to pay the price. This is basic economics. But it's no surprise that Reich, the fake economist, doesn't even bring it up. What we're seeing here is yet another attempt to cover up the voluntary nature of employment. An employer says he'll pay so much money if someone will do a certain kind of work for him. Someone else agrees to do it, and so he's hired. He has to ignore this because he has to cover up for the fact that he's the one wanting to use force to intrude on peaceful, voluntary interactions.
The reality is there is no justification for today's extraordinary concentration of wealth at the very top.
The only extraordinary concentration of wealth at the very top is the political class like you, who never had a real job in your life, who never had any training in economics, and just had everything handed to you, from your Oxford and Yale education straight to your government appointment at the FTC and later as Secretary of Labor. You even managed to get out of the Vietnam draft! It really seems like Reich and his ilk believe that the mere existence of rich people is a societal evil. Like, the only moral thing to do is to make everyone impoverished. Which actually is what keeps happening with socialist countries, so yeah, maybe. But the important thing is not that there are rich people, it's how they became rich. Are they like Reich, who made his millions off the backs of the taxpayer in a system based on power and aggression? Or do they become rich by serving their fellow humans, providing them with goods and services they demand at a price they'll agree to? Which do you think is good?
The paid what you're worth myth has proven to be a cruelly effective way to put the blame on workers for not getting ahead, while giving the rich and powerful cover to rig the game for their own benefit.
The only people that describes is political elites like you! So thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, leave a comment, and go to donate.pagosity.tv to keep me doing what I do. And check out all the great content here, like this video selected just for you.